Welcome back to the 100K podcast, the 2024 AFL season preview. We are up to the Hawthorn Hawks. Joining me, Darcy Ballard. Dope, how are you, mate?
Jev, I'm feeling unbelievable. It's a cracking day today. Look at you just punishing one of those Cocoa Bella chocolate milks. Can we just talk about them? If you haven't tried them, they're just full of electrolytes, 5 times the amount, look at that, of a Powerade or a Gatorade, and it's good for you.
It's the best shit I've ever had. I hope the pod gets a sponsor. I'm obsessed with this stuff.
I've gotten that many people onto it talking about it. So let's get into it, Jev. We're on to the Hawks. So the season preview, the same list of questions we go through every side. So last year, Jev, they finished 16th. So third last, 7 wins, 16 losses. The very first question that we go through, Jev, competition A-graders. Who do the Hawks have? A bona fide A-grader, go.
I reckon we'll agree on this one, and it's only one for me, and that is their captain, James Sicily. All-Australian last year, probably should have been All-Australian the year before. Averages 26 and a half touches, nearly 10 intercept possessions a game. He's a bit of a different footballer where he isn't necessarily big enough to be a key defender, but he isn't a big general defender, but he's an elite kick. If opposition don't put time into him, he just cooks teams and stuff. He did it to the Saints. He did it to the Pies last year. He absolutely torched them when they didn't actually put someone on. I said he wasn't a general defender. He is a general defender. He's not necessarily a key defender. He's just a star. He's a good player. Das, who's your competition A-grader?
Jev, it's so funny that we've actually gone through, done our own notes, and for most things we've seemed to agree on. It'd be interesting to see if it changes down the path, but pretty much my notes, Jev, the captain, Sicily, 29. I wrote a different style of defender, not quite a Jacob Wiedering or a Stephen May who loves to body up 101 and those big spalls, but Jev, a lot of interceptions, almost 26 disposals a game, and definitely gets them going, averaging 443 metres gained. But as you said, Jev, just under 10 intercept possessions a game, which are ranked all elite by champion data as well. He looks so good when he goes back. He's just one of those ones, he'll just back into a pack, arms up, he comes down with it, and he's actually a really good kick of the footy. He Beautiful will try kick. And sometimes bite off more than he can chew, which I love, and that's just almost the way that the Hawks like to play. So on the same, Jev, I would go Sicily as my only one. Now, this one interests me.
Hang on, let me just, before, on Sicily, I reckon it's a bit of an underrated thing. I reckon Hawks fan knows this. And if you go to the game, you can pick it up. He's the best at kicking down the line in the league. He's like an NFL punter. He kicks it like 60 metres and it goes 60 metres high and it gives their defence a chance to set up. Next time you're at a Hawthorn game or on TV, look how good Sicily is at just kicking it down the line out of defence. He's fucking incredible at it. I went first on competition A-graders. You can go first on position A-graders, Das. Give them to me.
This is a really hard one. You can put a lot of the Hawthorn players into the maybe pile, but I think still from now, I've only just got the one, and that is Luke Bruce, Jev. He's still 100% a small forward A-grader. The former, Jev, he was picked 77 in the 2011 rookie draft, essentially 528 goals later, and coming off a 40-goal performance last year. I don't care what other people say, Jev. He's pure genius, small forward craft. You go watch him play. He's still. I'll argue with anyone if you say he's still not a competition A-grade small forward. But he's pretty much my only one, Jev. I've got a lot of guys here who I think potentially Will Day maybe in a couple years like Mitch Lewis, is he give him another year or two? John Newcomb is that midfielder. But I think it's a hard one. You almost put maybe is Carl Amon close to that as a winger, but I just think Luke Bruce, Jev, I need another season from a few other players. What about you?
Our man, Will Day, has competition A-grader written all over him. And I don't care about the stats with this bloke. It's eye test for me. He's big and tall. He's classy on the outside. He's getting better inside. He kicks goals. He can go to half back. He can take a mark. He breaks away from stoppages. I fucking love him. Maybe I'm going to project that he will be an A-grade midfielder at the end of this season. He is such a stud. I would kill to have his class at the Swans. I've also got Jai Newcombe as an A-grade midfielder, Das. You don't even call Jai an underrated player of the comp anymore. He's just a gun. He's a bull. He's untackleable. He does it different. It's a bit rougher around the edges, long kick still, picks it up hard, breaks a tackle. But he's in for a massive season. Then if you call tagging a position in football, they have the A-grade tagger in Finn McGuinness. He held Nick Dacos. He injured him, but he held him to 7 touches or something. Nobody does that to Dacos. He did it like 5 weeks in a row. So if you think a position in AFL footballer is tagging, Finn McGuinness is the A-grade tagger. Maybe I'm being too nice. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I seem to agree. Like, as far as, as you said, how you wanted to project Will Day, I probably just don't have him there yet, as well as John Newcombe, but definitely potential to have them there. That's why they're almost on my B+ list. But yeah, they're very exciting, the Hawks, and I can't wait to see what this year has for them. Into the next one, Jev, notable role players. Who have you looked at for the Hawks?
So Mitch Lewis this year has top 7 key forward in the comp written all over him. He knows it. The Hawks know it. I reckon he's coming. He's in for a big season. I wrote these notes before the injuries last week, but I love CJ off the half back line. His speed and the way he takes the game on has to excite all Hawks fan, but he did go down with a hammy in an intra-club. And then bringing in Ginnivan with Bruce. Bruce is such a good footballer. So I've got him down as notable role players. You had him as position A-graders. He was like 40 last year, and he took Jimmy Webster to the cleaners under the lid. And Ginnivan can play. He won a fucking Anzac Day medal. There isn't a crowd he'll play in front of that intimidates him. He's seen it all, Jack Ginnivan. I'm hoping Sam Mitchell gives him more responsibility and we can see a bit more of his skill set and talent and what he actually is as a footballer. But he's a hell of a small forward, professional goal kicker with Bruce. Like, these are good players. Who did you have down for notable role players?
You touched on him before, Jev, but if this isn't the ultimate role player, then I don't know what is. So Finn McGuinness, Jev, the ultimate team player. Finn is ranked below average, highly below average in disposals, contested possessions, clearances, meters gained, score involvements, literally any major statistic you can look at, tackles, everything in the AFL. And you cannot say that he's not one of the most important players to their team if they're versing a good side. If that is not a role player, then I don't know what is. I hope he can make bit more of a stamp in the side this year. I know he was in and out and only came in for those big games. He was on SEN a couple of times. Like, look, I'd love to have 30 every week, but I just want to get in the side. So I think that they bring it back, have like a Ryan Crowley, and just every single side, go up against them and just let him run with someone and just become the eraser.
Yeah, 100%. We talk about it all the time, how I say Tendai Mzungu and Matt DeBoer won Nat 5 Brownlows because when you're such a gun these days, it's all about running forward, just dominate offensively. They don't care about Nat 5's defending because he's dominating the game. And now with a Finn McGuinness, if you can stop Nick Dacos's offense, it just goes so far. It throws Collingwood out completely if he isn't the one that's just driving his legs, getting out of stoppages. So I think he's so important as well, Das. I hope there's always a spot for him in that team, but you never know. Sam Mitchell might have said you have to start averaging 20 touches. I can't have you having 7, but he's an athletic freak. He's 2K time trial and all that stuff. He's freakishly good. So he has to be in the side for me.
Yeah, I hope he can definitely cement a spot. Next one. What have you gotten written down for depth?
I'll leave depth to you, Doe, but I'm a bit harsh on teams that when they finish bottom 6 like the Hawks did. But I want to see Denver Granger Barras this year play 23 senior fucking games. God damn, he's meant to be a gun. If he doesn't play this year, he'll be at West Coast in 2025, So I want to see Denver Granger Barras play at least 20 senior games for the Hawks. But what did you have down for depth?
I absolutely love their young midfield, Jev. Absolutely love it. I think Sam Mitchell knows the talent that they have. You look how good the Hawks were for a long time when he was there. But you got Newcombe, Warple that had a really big comeback year last year, Day, Nash, Dylan Moore, Josh Ward, McGuinness, McDonald, Carl Amon and Butler on the wings. This is a very young nucleus of players that hopefully CJ as well, Jev, that you mentioned before, Those guys running around the midfield, you give them another 50 games, and we could be looking at the Hawks playing finals, like top 4 for the next 4 or 5 years after that. And you're just like, God, this is an unbelievable midfield. I think at good depth, when they drafted Josh Ward a few years ago, they said he has captain written all over him.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just a guy that takes a little bit of time to get back in the side. McDonald in their preseason games has been playing a lot more midfield minutes. And I'm like, geez, he's looking good. I went back and I watched that whole 50-minute video. I'm like, geez, these guys look really quick. They're trying to go through the middle. And the biggest thing, if you watched them last year, Jev, the Hawks love the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
They do not care if they overpossess it. They're going to, even if they stuffed up a lot of times last year, they're like, that's fine. This is how we want to play.
Yeah.
Watch them get the ball 3-4 handballs within a stoppage, and then they release and run. So that's the blueprint of the team. Watch them go the exact same this year. They are not afraid to take on chances. Same thing. You don't know what you don't know. They're kids. They're just running on top of the ground, and everyone expects them to be shit. So watch them turn some heads this year. It's a very young core, and I'm very excited by the depth of it.
Young guns. I'm going to leave Nick the Wiz Watson all to you, Das. Go for it. Talk about the young guns.
Jev, this is the man. This is the Wiz, and I could not be more excited. Last year, when he played Vic Metro, Jev, he kicked the most goals for him. In 4 games, he had 14 goals. Why not the Wiz to be the best young player in the AFL? Jev, it was a very big dream of all of us when you're a kid. I'd love to play AFL. Usually too small. Jev, I would have loved to play AFL, but guess what? I was cheeks. I was no good. So I'm going to be living this year through the Wiz, Nick Watson. He's doing it for the sub 170 centimeter athletes. Pick 5 in that side. From all reports and watching what I did the other day, Jev, he kicked 2 goals, and every single thing that he touched was absolute gold. I cannot wait to go watch this kid this year. He's electric. Yes, he's a small forward. He might have some down games, but I'm telling you, he's going to strap that team on his back. He will win 3 or 4 games off his boot. He's going to be an injector. He's going to be a dual-engine diesel straight up the opposition, pushing him in their face between him and Ginnivan, Bruce feeding off each other, and Gunston. I cannot wait to watch this kid play with so much confidence and so much flair. Nick Watson is going to be the most electric player in the AFL, Jev. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I was so vocal about you just do not draft a small forward in the top 5. I've been saying it. I'm starting to come around, Das. This kid does it fucking differently, doesn't he? Like, if he's 1-on-1 in the 50, he's kicking it on his left, he's kicking it on his right, he's getting tackled high, or he's breaking a tackle. It feels like if you give him space, it's going to be all over. And it's like if an aggressive defender, someone like, I'll just say Jacob Wiedering. If Jacob Wiedering's on him, he tackles him high, goal. If maybe a small defender like the Swans' Harry Cunningham, he fakes him on the right, he'll kick a goal on his left. If he's got a metre space, it's a snap over his shoulder. He'll break tackles. If you overcommit, he's ducking under a tackle. I'm not going to put a fucking limit on it, but maybe I'm going to be wrong on this one. I still wouldn't draft a small forward in the top 5, but this kid looking like he can play. But I'm going to go Josh Weddle, Das. How big are the wraps on this kid at the moment? 191 centimetres, 91 kilos, pick 18 in 2022. They put 17 games into him last year, and now it looks like he's going to explode. There isn't one Hawk supporter you talk to that isn't so bullish on this bloke. All the commentators, footy pages, and everyone are just so bullish on him. So I'm super excited to see his role for the Hawks this year. Average 17 disposals in his rookie year. I'm picking that to turn to 22, 23, even 24 disposals this year. He earned the trust of Sicily, the backline, Sam Mitchell. He's going to be a Hawks player for the next 15 years. And then I had to talk about Connor McDonald. You spoke about him before. David King says he goes to trainings and he watches how hard Sam Walsh, Christian Petrarca, Nick Dacos train. He said they just stand out in the track, and then he put Connor McDonald in their class. Reckons he trains that fucking hard. That is such a big compliment for mine, and most Hawk supporters would be so happy to hear, like, this guy's name as hard trainers amongst those 3 players. So you got to have big raps on those 2 kids.
Is that what he said? I've been trying to stay off all footy pods until we finish all these because I don't want to hear anything. Is that what he said, Connor McDonald?
Yeah, He said, I went down to Hawks training. He goes, I go watch Carlton train. Sam Walsh stands out. Petrarca stands out. Nick Dacos, they just stand out how hard they train. And Connor McDonald is the same. He goes, it stood out how hard this bloke's trained.
Oh, I quickly want to touch on something before I forget. Jev, for our listeners, can you tell them why Sicily wears a long sleeve?
So the Hawks defenders don't confuse him for Jack Frost or whatever the cunt's name is. They look too much alike. Those young, dumb Hawthorn kids, if they think they're giving it to Sicily and they give it to Frost, it's a turnover and it's a goal. Sicily wears long sleeves in 40 degrees on Anzac Day Monday just so he can get the ball, or else they give it to Frosty and he fucks it up. So they have to get it to Sicily. So Sicily he'll be that overheated, but it's like, don't give it to Frosty, please.
Can I say, so I was driving to work the other day, Jev. You know how Sam Frost looks lost when he's out in the field? Yeah. Just be like, I swear to God, I drove past him. He was walking his dog and he looked lost.
Oh, fucking hell.
I swear to God, this man just doesn't have a compass. He genuinely looked lost walking his dog, and I could not stop laughing. So that was Frosty for you, Jev. But very excited about that Connor McDonald news. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dark Horse All-Australian. Give me a Dark Horse All-Australian from the Hawks, or just an All-Australian, or however you want to take it.
Well, a genuine punt at like an All-Australian would like to see John Newcomb up there if he can try and maybe potentially get a bench spot if he can keep going with all that clearances and that hard ball work, as you mentioned before, Jev. But another one of those spots that could be up for a bit of debate is that wing position, and a Carl Amon, a very good user of the ball. Everyone said when he came to Hawthorn, they're like, he's just wasted the back end of his career just to go home. Tell you what, the Hawks the next few years compared to Port Adelaide, it'd be a great little debate to see where they're both at. But I think he's a great ball user. He can stay out on that side. Beautiful user. Like, as I said, coming inside forward 50, can run all day. So Carl Amon is a very dark horse. But as we said, he'll be competing against the Gouldens and the Dacosses of the world. But as I said, that is a very dark horse. But love the way that he plays. What about you?
Will Day has to be. I can't wait to watch him play this season. I want to see the AA debut season. I want to see him in my pyramid. I just want to see Will. I just want to watch Will Day play footy, does. He just has A grade. He has Bontempelli. He's just so classy. I can't wait. Coach Captain. We just write down Coach Captain ? You get to go however you want. You go first.
So Sam Mitchell and Sicily, Jev. I just love Sam Mitchell. You hear a lot about how much of a football brain he is, but then he also puts himself out there. I think he was brilliant by the Hawks when he got appointed. The fact that he really put himself out there. Their social team's fantastic. It's very hard to get a lot of knowledge about what your team's doing in preseason and throughout the season, but the Hawks have literally put themselves all out there. I think it almost is a bit of an insurance at the start, Jev, because if the Hawks were losing a lot, you're like, fuck are they doing at training? You go watch these YouTube videos and the message he's trying to give you, like, oh, like that's obviously what they're trying to work on. It's just not working on field. But as I said, he's such a football brain. He knows what he likes. And Sicily was definitely a hothead. And he looked like he just kept cracking the shits. He's definitely, since becoming captain, he's that vocal pillar for them. And he's definitely a much more, or it looks like, an on-field captain. He plays by his actions, not so much. Like, you don't see him talking so much in the media and putting himself out there. But on field, he's an unbelievable leader. And I think Sam Mitchell's just got this group going and slowly ticking along. What about you?
Yeah, we already spoke about James Sicily. He's a gun. But I actually don't know much about his leadership because they probably haven't played in a big game yet under his captaincy. But I want to talk about Sam Mitchell as well. It feels like he's going to win Coach of the Year. And he knows that when you go back to the finals, you go to win premierships. So I don't reckon they'll make the 8 this year, but when they do, they'll go straight back into the top 4 and prelims. You can see it in their game plan. They're playing to win prelims and premierships. It's not about just finishing 8th and then getting knocked out first week. Whereas maybe like a Freo or an Essendon, or I know as a Swan supporter, if the Swans aren't playing finals, we become irrelevant in Sydney so fast. So we try and finish in the top 8 every year. We never, ever rebuild, and we'll top up our list to make the finals every year. Whereas making finals and playing a final might be the goal of some teams, but Hawthorn think premierships. And when they when they go back, they go to win the premiership, they attack the finals like Richmond did. They might attack and win 2 in 3 years when they go back up. And so, like Sam Mitchell, he knows that. He's delivered that message, and you can sort of see it coming. And I'm going to fucking hate it when it happens because I hate the Hawks. I'm a Swan supporter. I watched them beat us by 10 goals grand final day. We played so many big games against them. Luke Hodge, Kiss, Buddy Frank, going to piss me off. So I'm going to fucking hate it, but you can see it happening.
I love that, Jev. Very good, honest words from you. I love that you've given a good picture, but you still hate them. That's good.
Yeah.
You haven't just said that they're going to be shit. All right, next one. So, Jev, strength of schedule. So, pretty much this is judged off the ranks from last year. They've gone through all the fixtures, who they double up against. Number 1 is the easiest ranked schedule. Number 18th would be the hardest. The Hawks have the 14th ranked schedule, Jev. They reckon it's pretty hard. Now, I'm not sure how you've gone into that next section. Usually we go notable home games and away. I've broken it up into 4 categories, Jev. I've got MCG games, Marvel games, Tassie games, and then just away games. That's how I've done it, just because I find the Tassie aspect of it very interesting. How have you gone about it? You can just go home games if you have.
Yeah, so home games. I find Hawthorn's fixture super hard to judge. This is one of the hardest I found to judge because am I judging the Hawks off the team that won 8 games last year and finished 16th? Or are we judging them off the team we hope they become? Because they start with Essendon, Melbourne, Geelong, Collingwood, and at Gold Coast. First 5 rounds. They could easily be 0-5, Das. I don't think they're going to be, but you don't beat the Bombers, then you play Melbourne, Geelong, Collingwood, who I all have in my 8. There's 3 losses. Then you're 0-4. Then you got to go to Gold Coast. Whether I think they're going to be or not, that is a fucking hard start. They do get GWS in Tassie, the Lions at Marvel, Adelaide at the G, and the Swans at the G. So they're the right teams to play at their home or in Tassie. So I find them super hard to judge. What about you? You go, and then I'll go notable away games.
Yeah, so pretty much all the home games, as you said. So Bombers, D's, Cats, Swans, Crows, Tigers twice, the Blues and the Pies at the MCG. So they're big games. The Hawks, they push sides. They beat Brisbane at there last year, Jev. They beat Collingwood there. Don't be surprised if they pinch another one. Teams are going to lose games this year, Jev. It's just the way it is. They might steal one against the Crows or the Swans. The Marvel games I actually really like. So it's North, Dogs and Brisbane. Not too bad. I don't mind them. Like, I think they're really going to be competitive. But these are good ones. So the Tassie ones, Jev, the Saints, the Giants, the Dockers, and North. Don't be surprised if they get 4 wins there. Like, honestly, like, they're so good down there. I don't know what's in the water, if they stay at a better motel than the other team, if the other's just camping swags, but they seem to be way better prepared. I love those 4 games, Jev. Notable away games, what have you got?
So, like, if you actually look at their first 15 rounds, they played Collingwood at Adelaide Oval at Gather Round, Port at Adelaide Oval, and Gold Coast at Gold Coast. And that's like it for their away games. It's actually a great start to their schedule. So I'm bullish on their away fixture. I'm just nervous about what sort of team we're judging them on. What did you have their floor of wins? What's the worst season?
I think it has to be equal with last year. It has to be 8 wins, Jev. That's what I got put down. Judging off some of those, like especially the Tassie games, if they can go 2-1 at Marvel, if they can pinch a couple games at the G, that's not even going through their away games. I think they should get to 8 as a floor, Jev. If they go behind that, I think it's definitely a regression from last year, which I can't see happening. What about you?
Yeah, I wrote the exact same thing. So they won 8 games last year and finished 16. So I reckon 8 is their floor. They have to improve and get better. So 8's where it starts, I'd say. Ceiling of wins.
Your ceiling has to be scraping into finals, doesn't it, Jev? If not making. Like, no, but we're talking ceiling. I'm not saying that they are. That is just ceiling, which would have to be 13 to 14 wins in a perfect season, I feel. That would be their absolute ceiling. Like, there's always a team from the bottom 4 that pops up. If that's their season, that is the ceiling, Jev. 13 to 14 wins. What about you?
I've got their ceiling as basically a 50-50 team, 11-12 or 12-11, basically. When I just sort of tipped their schedule, like win-loss, I had them 5-5. Then I had them 7-7. Then I had them 9-9. So I was just like, win, loss, win. And I had them just 50-50 the whole season. Then they have a tough patch at the end of the year at Adelaide, at GWS versus Carlton late in the season. So I'm not sure. I reckon their best will be a 12-win team. I'm just tipping about 11, 12-win team.
All right. So what did you have the over-under at?
9.5. I reckon 9.5 is the right number. What do you reckon it's going to be?
I would love for it to be 9.5. I've got 10.5. But I think 2 games more than last year is the number, which would be 9.5. That means you're backing them to win 10.
Yeah.
I've just gone 10.5 because I feel that they just inflate everything. I don't know what it is, but if it's 9.5, I'm taking the over.
Oh, fair enough.
So
I wouldn't touch 9.5. I'd only take the over if it was 8.5 and they have to win one more game as last year. Because it's when we did our notes, these injuries didn't happen, but they've lost their fullback, that James Blank kid. CJ's got a bad hammy. Will Day's not playing from the start of the season. He's a bit injured. So it's going to be fucking hard to win 10 games in this comp. We've nearly taken over on every team so far. So it's going to be so hard to win 10 games.
do you got a hot take for us, Jevy?
Hot take. Sam Mitchell could win Coach of the Year if they win 10 games, over 10 games. I reckon it's going to look different when they win. I reckon they'll be Australia's team this year. People will get behind Ginnivan and the Wiz. Will Day and Newcomb could become unstoppable some games. A perfect mix of grunt and class, both pushing for All-Australian. The Hawks will be last year's GWS or 2022's Collingwood and become Australia's team to froth this year, I reckon. And they'll play the Sunday 3:20 game on the G and we'll all be sitting watching it and absolutely loving it, Darc. I reckon they're going to be Australia's team. I reckon Sam Mitchell could win Coach of the Year if they win 10 or more games. Darc, do you have a hot take?
I like that, Jev. Yes, I do. I'm doubling down on what I said about the Bombers, Jev. The Hawks will finish higher than the Bombers.
Let's go.
I don't care that the Bombers' schedule is ranked 14th to the Bombers' 8th. I don't care that the Bombers finished higher than them last year. Jev, I got a little game for you. You can tell me who you'd prefer. What coach are you taking, Brad Scott or Sam Mitchell?
Sam Mitchell.
All right, so we'll take the Hawks on that one. The back line, are you taking Sicily, Weddle and the boys, or are you taking Ben Mackay and Jordan Ridley?
I'm going to take the Hawks.
So you're going to take the Hawks?
All Australians. I'll take the Hawks.
Okay, so you're going to take the Hawks. Midfield, Jev, are you going to be taking Newcomb, Warple, Day and Nash, or are you taking Merritt, Parrish, Caldwell and Shield?
I like Will Day too much. I probably think Essendon are the better players at the moment now. I'll go the Bombers just.
Okay, so you'll do that. All right, so now let's go to the forward line. Jev, huh?
You'd take the Hawks though?
100%. So now let's go to the forward line, Jev. Are you taking 2 meter Peter, Langford, Jade Gresham, Stringer and Harry Jones, or are you taking Gunston, Bruce, Two Phones Chol, Mitch Lewis, Ginnivan and the Wiz?
Absolutely taking the Hawks forward line.
So either way, that's 3-1. Yeah, so 3-1. So everyone's saying that the Bombers are a better side, yet when we go through coach, forward line, midfield and forward line, midfield and back line, we're both leaning the Hawks. What are we talking about? Even if they lose round 1 against the Bombers, I don't care. I'm saying that they're going to finish higher in the entire season. I'm standing on the Hawks as my second favourite team all year, and I'm going to be riding the Wiz every step of the way, Jev. That is my hot take.
Perfect, Darc. I've got a question without notice. I want to have a bet with you on Nick the Wizard Watson.
Yes.
I'm not that high on him, and I wouldn't have taken a small forward in the top 5 is all. So what would a fair line of goals be for you and me to have a bet on? I'm thinking 35.5 goals.
Ooh.
Would you take the over on 35.5?
Well, Jev, you said it at 40. I'm going to have to take it, aren't I?
Because I want to set a fair where it's going to be like he's going to kick 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. 35.5 goals.
I would have thought, I've got no idea. I would have thought maybe you would have said maybe 32.
That's fine. So we'll go 34, not even 34.5. 34 is a push.
Yeah, let's go 34. He's number 34.
Number 34. So 34 is a push. No one loses. Over 34, I lose. Under 34, you lose. We'll work out what the bet is. We'll say this on our actual pod round 1 when we talk Hawks Essendon and think of a punishment or a bet.
I like that. Or the fans can message us and they can come up with a punishment. Also, this is the petition. I'm going back to back with Nick Watson at some stage this year. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm quite sure I'm a meter 69. He's listed as a meter 70. There is no way that he's taller than me. I look at him, Jev, and he looks like a midget. I love him, but he's tiny. He's tiny. There is no way that he's a centimetre taller than me. So sometime this year, we're going back to back, me and the Wiz, and I'm going to buy a jersey.
Are the rumours true that we will be at Hawks Bombers 110 MCG round 1 Saturday, and you're going to be in a Nick Watson 34 Hawks jersey?
I am, Jev, and I'm going to be there to watch the Wiz's first AFL goal. It's going to be electric. I can actually see it. First goal of the game.
Yeah, we'll back in first goal for sure.
On a 13 to 1, 20 to 1, out of the middle, the Wiz, Joe Lagoose out the back. Ginnivan could kick it. Nah, he'll give it to the Wiz. And then that's how he starts the career.
Let's go, Dars. All right, that is the Hawks. Next up, the Melbourne Demons. Good work, Dars. That was a good one.
I like the Hawks. Very bullish. Go Hawks.